to get the virus. We need to stop people to die.
Of countries around the world with meatworks, including in Germany, a country that has eased off on the brakes, but some outbreaks that it's dealing with now are causing some problems and have pushed the effective virus reproduction number above 1. It's too early to know if that's a trend, but health experts are watching that situation very closely. Another country being watched very closely is South Korea, which has had tremendous success suppressing this curve for weeks and weeks, but it's now dealing with its highest case numbers in more than a month. Most of those linked to some Seoul nightclub outbreaks, and thousands of people there have been tested. Authorities.
India had its biggest single-day spike in COVID cases with more than 4,200 new cases and 97 deaths being reported. But the current figures indicate that the last 24 hours...
El Gordo May, líder de los Zetas. La Secretaría de Salud del Estado confirmó la muerte por COVID-19. El Gordo May, de 45 años, pagaba una condena en el penal del Salto. Este pasado 6 de mayo comenzó con problemas respiratorios y 2 días después murió en el área médica del reclusorio federal.
There are a variety of reports that Chinese hackers are attempting to steal technology related to vaccine research. Is this something you're concerned about? What can you say?
So what else is new with China? What else is new? Tell me. I'm not happy with China. They should have stopped this at the source. They could have stopped it right at the source. So now you're telling me they're hacking. So I just say this, Steve, what else is new? We're watching it very closely.
If I could follow up, sir, the South China Morning Post, the Beijing newspaper, says that China would like to reopen negotiations on the trade deal to make the terms more favorable to them. Is this something you'd be interested in doing?
No, not at all. Not even a little bit, no. I'm not interested.
You've said many times that the U.S. is doing far better than any other country when it comes to testing.
Yes.
Why does that matter? Why is this a global competition to you if every day Americans are still losing their lives and we're still seeing more cases every day?
Well, they're losing their lives everywhere in the world. And maybe that's a question you should ask China. Don't ask me, ask China that question, okay? When you ask them that question, you may get a very unusual answer.
The freedom of the Chinese people is going to be the story in the first half of the 21st century. And now we call it the unfinished business of the 20th century. At first, because of the end of history, we thought it was a short 20th century. From the guns of August in 1914 until 1989 when the Berlin Wall came down. But now we understand. We left unfinished business. There's another Berlin Wall. It's called the firewall. We must tear down that firewall, and in so doing, help free the Chinese people, assist them. Only the Chinese people can free themselves. We cannot do it for them. But hey, They're looking for a fight. Remember, of 1.4 billion people, there's only 90 million people in the Chinese Communist Party, and there's only a couple thousand that take it all away. Why have I become public enemy number one of the Chinese Communist Party on their mainstream media every night and in the People's Daily? Because I continue to say CCP and not the Chinese people. And I say we ought to start with seizing the assets of the families that run the Chinese Communist Party. We ought to seize every asset in Belgravia, in the West End of London. We ought to seize every asset in Midtown Manhattan and the Upper East Side. Start taking the wealth that they stole from the Chinese people that came from the American people.
As soon as we realize that we actually hold all the cards, Steve, we give them all the blood to grow the CCP tumor is in U.S. dollars. And all we've got to do, my prescription to the administration is very simple. It's simply level the playing field. Stop giving Chinese companies and other foreign companies a free pass at not filing audited financial statements here in the United States. All we've got to do is say, anyone that wants to raise money from a U.S. institution or a U.S. individual or U.S. dollars in the United States, you just have to follow the exact same rules as U.S. companies. I don't think that's bombastic. I don't think that's unfair. I don't think that's racist. Let's just force everyone to follow the same rules that our companies do. And then we will immediately level the playing field. All they're doing is coming to Wall Street and getting hundreds of billions of dollars to fund Chinese day-to-day operations and malign activities of the CCP. All we've got to do is level the playing field. They will never submit their companies to U.S. PCAOB covered audits. Let's force them to do so. If they do, if they're willing to do that, if they're willing to show us where the fraud is and where it maybe isn't, then they can keep raising money here. We're not actively throwing them out. We're just saying adhere to our standards. Steve, it's so important. We're never going to outlie, outcheat, outsteal, or outbribe the CCP. They're the best in the world at this. All we need to do is enforce the U.S. rule of law.
Right. I mean, this was clearly a cover-up, and I think you will see a number of groups help unfold what China has done to unleash this virus and to not manage it. But I think we're also, as you mentioned, looking forward. And what I like about this task force is it has representatives from all over the country, all types of rural, urban, and other districts. And it covers a wide variety of committees, everything from trade to finance to health to education, of course, military, because what China is doing, as it explicitly seeks to dominate a new world order where it calls the shots, not the United States, is it has a whole of society, whole of government approach. And that's how we're looking to combat what they're doing from the United States perspective. So we'll incorporate a lot of what the intelligence community is doing. We'll receive a series of classified briefings. But I think what you'll see coming out of this is really pulling together a number of efforts. Julian, we've talked about what we're trying to do to bring our supply chains home, how we're blocking our federal pensions and even several dozen of our state pension plans from investing in Beijing, how they're stealing our technology, trying to put our companies out of business economically, and then, of course, compete with us militarily. So, what you're going to see is pulling all of that together for some legislative packages and then recommendations to the president. Yeah. There's over 400,000 Chinese students in our universities as we speak. That doesn't make them bad kids. What they need to understand is that they're victims. The Chinese Communist Party forces them to vacuum up our technology, robotics, advanced materials, artificial intelligence, and send it back to Beijing where it gets fast-tracked right to the Chinese military. That's one piece. The other piece is they're actually recruiting American professors through what they call China's Talents Program. These professors are taking hundreds of billions of dollars into their institutions in taxpayer-funded research funding and these advanced technologies, and then going and moonlighting over in Beijing's universities, including the Wuhan Institute of Technology.
当美国政府发现本国疫情无法控制之后，就开始想办法推卸责任。在特朗普政府的主导下，新冠病毒来自中国一间实验室的阴谋论出炉了。
布鲁门塔尔说，诸如《华盛顿邮报》的乔西·罗金等美国极右翼分子出于政治目的，将一名被美国政府资助的反华活动人士伪造为科学家，编造出新冠病毒来自中国武汉一个生物研究实验室的阴谋论。
小组现在他们这个玩意儿，咱说心里话，现在做的这家伙了，上边这个省市领导的人问责的一出，这家伙了，他们都毛了。上边给他一下令，这家伙下边就不管他事儿了。你家伙了，沾上死爱上忙了。
真的是这样哈，他们宁可就是全部都给你整了，也不能放过一个。
现在他们给哈尔滨整的，没说他妈这个第二个武汉吗？这不是？这整的人心惶惶的，这家伙了。
但是
现在他妈我们现在比别说给我们封门了，不给我们封门，我们现在都不出家。现在我们他妈就是这老百姓看着我们就是成毒王了，你看人家都害怕，你知道？他们就把这事情搞大了，这个一击的他妈都整的这追究责任了，这不？这整的这小区啊，什么社区啊，你谁的区域谁管，你谁出现毛病，你就找你，你知不知道？下边这些小区的村子啥的都害怕。你这就是我没说沾上死爱上忙的，说哪怕沾上点儿，这马上就给你整上去，完了然后的话，这个防控小组直接的话，就整你的话就去这个集中隔离去，隔离人没毛病再回来，反正就这么个事儿。你回来以后，社区小区这块他们都不谈责任，你知道吧？谈责任都做这些东西，都整这些东西了，是不是？哎，他下边的他一点不谈责任都，真是都这么干现在。
武汉市东西湖区政府免费为多乐口大市场每个人做核酸检测。
你拿的程序，拿着，还那个牌子换了，带着给。你干什么？你干什么？你看我东西不行，我只要财产，我只要财产，我凭我带你去找我干。
真是假呀？有备无患呢。
上车！告诉你我们告诉有效，照相机的你不用跑，还能用。
这本来哈尔滨人呐就没什么钱，这个疫情啊，把哈尔滨造的呀。掏的都掏没了，这家伙上大事都出来溜达的，买货的都极少。现在是能对付一口，绝对不吃第二口。
干嘛？我愿意进来的，我愿收客。基层的贪污房，给他们没有违法跟我有做咩我都叫4年咯。好冇？打倒黑社会！
打倒黑社会！
你在外面硬起来吗？出去做生意去。
大陆人最喜欢看你们这电视，是吧？他们只能通过卫星看，别的他看不了。大陆的封锁这些东西，大陆的都是骗人的，中央台全是骗人，一帮骗子。比如说中央台中央台那个广播员的，那女的呢，这全是后宫，全是那帮贪官的后宫，从来不说真话，骗人的。
您是从大陆过来的吗？
从北京过来的。
北京过来，哎，现在能过来吗？
我很早就过来了，是吧？你现在香港的警察也都大陆化了，全大陆化，人管这叫黑警，全是学的大陆那套流氓那一套东西。
所以现在香港人，你觉得香港的警察都变了？
就是一帮流氓来着吧？你看老百姓死活现在不管，就是为什么他们说共产党好呢？共产党可以做贪官啊，他可以贪污啊。
那你看市民都拿着天灭中共的海报，觉得天灭中共，你认同天灭中共吗？
最好，知道吧？天灭是这个干坏事干太多了吗？他干多少坏事你知道吗？从三反五反，香港人不是那么好欺负的。你看那帮老一辈怎么来香港，不是都躲着共产党来的吗？他这样不简单，和台湾就差远了。香港多部分，你看年轻人都是97年以后生的，全都起来造反。因为他父辈跟他讲啊，共产党到底是什么东西？
就这是虚拟货币交易所，我现在可以告诉大家，已经有3个国家以上，我们政府欢迎我们，强烈欢迎我们去啊！肯定不是在美国，这交易所是在外边国家的。就是你怎么把虚拟的这个货币变成实体货币，世界上最难的。我们现在已经在计划中做到的，希望未来啊，这都不是承诺，都没有法律效力啊。根据时间，根据我们的计划。根据我们现在这个总体目标啊，建立一个独立于中共之外的，让中国人安全的一个金融模式，而且独立于任何一个中共的所谓的金融权威之下的这么一个独立系统，这就是我们的核心计划，叫喜马拉雅金融系统的喜马拉雅联储。我们要的就是有绝对的经济能力和绝对的 force， 我们的力量。和绝对的我们的团队，就是我们的战友，这个力量人的力量和智慧在独立于中共之外和未来的没有中国的新中国之外，永远存在这个力量，这叫一个民间力量。认为在一定时间内，我希望我想的能做到的，这个币成为一定的时间，甚至在你我这一生当中，是你最安心、最放心。最可信赖、最可流通的货币，某种程度上你是没有选择的，而且是我们一个设计的概念，就是可携带、可兑换。我们还可能跟美元要挂钩。你说我不要金币了，我要美元，也可能跟美元挂钩，可能希望完全是这个不承担法律责任的。所有金融界全傻了，没人想到。但是说老实话，确实这个数额别人看的前所未有。但对我来讲，在我们计划当中，喜马拉雅币这个事上，我可以告诉牛伟哥，我计划当中，它是个很小的一步，只是试试水而已我昨天我最大的感受就是共产党这个金融系统跟国民党当年就是烂的一模一样让我最大的感受是，共产党是彻底烂了，因为金融系统烂不烂？共产党能不能灭伟哥？你懂这个的，你做生意这是核心。金融完了，军队完了，他必须嗝屁。今天你看到他完没完？钱就是人心，钱就是信心，钱就是你的权利。
stop people to get the values. We need to stop people to die.